Hello again, everyone. I'm Charles Gross.
And I'm Leslie Hoban Blake. Welcome to Two on the Aisle.
And today we are going to talk about Ava, The Secret Conversations. And this is unusual because it is Elizabeth McGovern playing Ava Gardner, even though Elizabeth McGovern, who is an absolutely gorgeous woman, looks nothing like Ava Gardner, who was also a very gorgeous and very glamorous woman who was active during the golden age of Hollywood. Admittedly, this is in Ava's latter years, and she had suffered from a stroke, and she was an older woman, so a lot of the glamour was gone. So I kind of guess that's how you reconcile it. But they show pictures of her on the stage. You know, these are two very, very different women. And I guess the audience for this play will be for people who have an interest in Ava Gardner and people who have an interest in Elizabeth McGovern.
Well, it is not only that she doesn't look like her, she also doesn't even try to sound like her. I take that back. I think she tries to sound like her because Ava Gardner had a very heavy Southern accent, so heavy that they didn't know whether they could ever use her in the film other than to show her not talking. And she worked very, very hard, and her accent became different, but it was underneath. And I think McGovern works very hard on that. But not looking like her in this day and age of musicals and movies where the actors are made to look as much like the stars as possible, even to putting a nose on Bradley Cooper for Maestro. You know, I mean, to have someone who is so not like her doing it is really strange to me. Ava Gardner qualified for Shakespeare's perfect female voice. It was soft and low.
So you're half of it. You've got
You're
half
so
the voice.
sweet. You're so sweet. I am anything but, I may be low, but I ain't sweet. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm not soft.
Despite her lengthy film career, and there were a lot of good films, the only one that is really discussed here is Showboat, which is one of the few that I've actually seen with her, and she was very good in it. She is desperate for money, so she is teaming up with this ghostwriter, Peter Evans, played by Aaron Costa-Ganis. And this is based on a true story, which we are told at the beginning of the play is true, except when it's not.
Right. That's the news. That's the standard news. Let's get by with not telling everything the way it was.
And they sit down and she's discussing her life. We learn about her early years. And this focuses on the three celebrity husbands that she married.
Played by Mr. Ganis. Played very well by Mr. Ganis, even when he doesn't look like them at all.
Some better than others. Mickey
Some
Rooney,
better than others.
Artie Shaw, Frank Sinatra. These marriages did not last very long. Her first two lasted roughly a year. Sinatra, I think, was roughly 5 years, but they were separated for 2 years. So she was a great film star, but her marriages were not.
The Sinatra marriage, though, was incredible. I mean, Sinatra was at the lowest point of his career when they were together, and she got him the job in From Here to Eternity, and she resuscitated his career, basically. I don't understand why the show is called Ava if it's as much about her husband as it is. And if she's never on stage alone, there are no monologues of Ava talking to herself or telling us any part of the story. It's all Ganis. It's all the writer, Peter Evans, talking to her.
It's seen through his eyes, and to an extent it is his story, but really it is her story. There was a biography of Patsy Cline.
I meant about stage time, Charlie. What I meant was writing this play for herself. She has given Ganis extra stage time and a much larger role because he plays 4 different characters. So I think it walks away being the Costa-Ganis show rather than the Elizabeth McGovern show. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's an interesting point. It reminds me, there was a show, I think it was called Yours, Patsy Cline. It was supposedly about Patsy Cline, but in fact, it was about a woman who knew Patsy Cline.
I remember.
McGovern is on stage. She is doing the role. You know, we hear about Ava's life from Ava, and I don't think a show called Peter the Secret
Oh, no. Oh,
Confessions.
Charlie,
What's
I'm
that
not
quite as
asking you to
well?
explain it to me. I understand that. I'm saying that I think a mistake was made in giving him that much stage time. That's what I'm saying. I'm not Elizabeth McGovern bashing. I love the woman. I think she's fantastic. I love her in Downton Abbey. I think she's a great actress. I just, I don't have any bone to pick with Elizabeth McGovern, except that she shouldn't necessarily be playing Ava Gardner. I
Well,
mean, it's sort of the biggest bone of all,
I think this is a labor of love. I have to assume that she's a big
Absolutely,
admirer of Ava Gardner, and she is a very good stage actress. I've seen her in Shakespeare in the Park. She was
absolutely.
Rosalind, and she was absolutely fabulous. And I've seen her, I think, I once many years ago at the WPA with Cara Central. She was also very good at that. This has its moments. I did not like the ending. It's very abrupt.
Yeah, it just stopped. It didn't get really going. It didn't, make a point.
I don't want to give it away, but it comes out of left field. It's something I don't think any of us was
Yeah.
expecting. And it should have been buffered in a little better, I think. So, but
Well, again,
said I did enjoy the play for the most part.
well,
I
again, though, McGovern wrote it as well as his acting in it. So, if there are problems, they're in the writing, and there was nobody. Perhaps there was nobody
well,
there to edit.
she's a generous author or a
Well,
generous actress.
not only does her accent come and go into different places, and maybe it's supposed to do that, but her stroke comes and goes. She kind of has a stiff left arm, and then she moves it when she's in a different place, but she forgets to put it back when she comes back to the scene.
I don't know if we mentioned that the stroke is the reason she has to write this book because she can no
Well,
longer.
she's no longer working. Yeah, she could do
She
some
needs the
stuff.
money, which is also why she's concentrating on her marriages because that's what's going to sell. I would have liked this to be a little more about her movies, to have heard a bit more. The only movie that is really discussed is Showboat, and
As you said, yeah.
that it was a great technicolor production of Showboat, and that's the only one we hear. If you're going to choose one, that's a good choice. But I would have
Well,
liked to have about
and the
some of the other
reason
ones
that it's
that she
thrown
was.
in, is that it made her angry her whole life that they didn't use her own singing. That she felt that she sang as well as the person they got in to sing for her, which isn't true. They got a much better singer.
They got Lena Horne, so
I was going to say they also got a black singer since she's supposed to be. But she said I was singing like Lena Horne in her head, I'm sure. And we've gotten to hear some of what she did. It's a little bit like Audrey Hepburn wanting to sing in My Fair Lady. What would you give this as a play?
I would give this at the very least 3.5. I was not happy about the ending, but I like the chemistry between the two leads, and I think the relationship between them was what caught my interest more than anything
Huh.
else. Even more than hearing how often Mickey Rooney wanted to make love to her.
Mart von Stumpnagel is the director, and given what he had to work with, I think he did a good job. There is one scene change that I don't understand, nor do I think it's necessary, and I wish it hadn't happened. They moved a couch from one side of the room to the other, and I didn't notice that it really changed the playing area, even though I know it was supposed to. So it was a usable structure. It should have sort of stayed the same way, I thought. But anyway, I would give her the extra 5% in a 3.5 playbills, for the writing of it, but I wouldn't give it more than 3.5. And
this is 5 being the best, 1 being not so wonderful.
Right. And this is a generous rating from me.
I think you went in with more expectations than I did.
I had high expectations, and they were dashed almost immediately.
And with more of Ava on your mind.
Oh, I like that. That should have been the name of it. Ava on my mind. That I like. We didn't mention the fact that she was always barefoot also, as a nod to the barefoot Contessa, no doubt.
So 2 movies are actually referenced in the show. one a little more subtly than the other.
Right.
And that is our program for today. When you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.